Hey everybody, and welcome to episode number 22 of The Kickabout with me, Chris. And as always, we have Fran and Dan with us.
Hello.
Right, well, it was FA Cup weekend this weekend, so we've got a couple of bits to talk about, but we are also going to ramp up our little transfer window roundup of stuff. So, Dan, why don't you kick us off with what's been going on in the world of transfers?
So quickly start with a little shout out for Ravel Morrison, who's now looking for his 12th club of his career.
What a guy. What a guy. This one is just hilarious because it's not the sort of thing you expect to hear anymore. Because like back in the day, there was like people like Stan Collymore who just like play for everybody. Today you just don't think that this sort of thing would happen. But it's crazy to think that when he was at West Ham, he looked like a player for about 6 months. He was unbelievable. I mean, that goal he scored against Spurs, I remember, where he like ran half the length of the pitch and skinned half of the Spurs team. And everyone was talking about him maybe getting an England call up and all this. And then since then, I mean, I don't know about your career going down. I mean, it's fallen off a fucking cliff.
Yeah, I'm surprised clubs keep taking a chance on him.
Well, a few of them, I think, have only offered him sort of very short-term trial contracts.
Yeah, I think he's had like 6-month contracts and stuff like that, hasn't he?
Yeah, but it is. I mean, he's still only 27, which is the crazy thing. So he's still, technically in the prime of his career. But whatever it is, whether it's physical, whether it's mental, whether it's attitude, I don't know what it is that's putting people off. But he just can't seem to stick anywhere. So. I mean, you would have thought you would have run out of chances by now, but surely he must be coming to the end of those chances now.
Well, his last club, I don't know how you pronounced it, but ADO Den Haag.
Dutch side, yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I can't see any big clubs come swimming around, to be honest.
I mean, we could do with some players next season, couldn't we, on a Saturday?
Oh, my God, sign in for Valley.
Imagine.
Dear.
So not a lot of major transfers at the moment, but there's been 3 confirmed signings by Premier League clubs, and they are Omar Rekik by Arsenal from Hertha Berlin. I can't say I know a great deal about him, to be honest.
No, I'll be honest, that name came up and I was like, who the fuck is he?
Yeah. And that's for an undisclosed fee. United have completed the signing of Ahmed Diallo from Atalanta for 37 million.
So, this was the one that was sort of completed in the summer, but was always touted to finish now.
This was pretty much all tied up in the summer, and it's only just sort of gone through. I think because he needed to get a work permit because of his age.
Is he
right? Okay.
Well,
what does he play?
He's a right winger, and he's been compared to Cristiano Ronaldo. So.
Whew. Haven't we all, though, Dan? Hey, haven't we all?
Well, yeah.
Especially you, Chris.
Well, some would say. No, on a serious note, does this potentially scupper any potential move for Sancho in January or maybe in the summer next year?
Well, I mean, he's only 18, so I don't think he only played 4 games for Atalanta. So it's not like,
And he cost 40 million.
Yeah, it's not like
Ed Woodward special, this one, isn't it?
He born in Ivory Coast. He came over to Italy because he was so good at football. They wanted him to sign for a decent club. So he went straight, one of the Serie B teams scouted him. And then they said that he was too good to play in Serie B. So they got in contact with the Serie A. And then that's when Atalanta signed him.
Okay, well, we'll keep an eye on him then.
And the 3rd confirmed signing is Robert Snodgrass from West Ham to West Brom.
Yeah, this is a very Sam Allardyce signing, this one. Snodgrass has been a terrific servant for West Ham, and I think he has had a bit of a rough ride this year because I think that he is the sort of player that Moyes likes. He does work very, very hard, but for whatever reason, Moyes preferred other players to him, and he had very limited chances to play. So I think at the age he is, I think he's 33 now. I don't think this is a bad move for him. He'll improve West Brom. He might install a good work rate and a better work ethic in the team. So, yeah, I think it's a good move. Whether it actually translates into points and performances for West Brom, who knows? But I think it's a reasonable move.
Yeah, I would agree. And the 2 confirmed signings leaving Premier League clubs are Kolasinac from Arsenal, who's gone to Schalke on loan. Obviously not really had a whiff of the first team for quite a while now.
No, not really. I think, again, that's a good move for him from a career point of view.
And one you'll know about, Chris, Sebastian Haller to Ajax for 25 mil.
Yeah, fantastic business by West Ham. Sign someone for 45 million and then sell them for 25. So, I mean, it kind of came out of the blue. But again, I think this is a move that I think we all knew was going to happen. I think most people knew that Moyes did not like Haller, didn't trust him. You know, Haller's had ample opportunities throughout his time at West Ham to prove that he's a striker good enough for the Premier League and good enough for our team. For one reason or another, whether it's confidence, whether it's mental attitude, whether it's ability, whatever, whether it's just because he doesn't fit the West Ham style, it's just not worked out for him. And he was a previous signing. He wasn't Moyes' signing, which is, I suppose, important to recognise. It was a Pellegrini signing.
Yeah.
But it's funny. So the contrast in the two attitudes and players, and I guess, you know, a lot of people will always say to footballers that there's no loyalty and this, that, and the other. But when Snodgrass left for West Brom, West Ham made quite a point of sort of wishing him farewell. There was lots of things coming up on social media about, you know, his time at the club, and lots of pictures of him and wishing him well. Snodgrass himself was coming out and saying, you know, thank you for giving the opportunity to play for such an amazing club. I love my time there, etc., etc. Meanwhile, Sebastian Haller's gone there and going, yeah, I've been eyeing this move up for months. I'm really happy it's happened. Like, fucking hell, mate. You do realise you scored like one or two goals all season long and been absolutely trash. I think you should be a little bit more dignified.
He's looking forward to going to and a team that's likely to win titles because he's got a winning mentality.
Well, I think that's very questionable. But I mean, you know, there is. I think he will do well there. I think he's played in the Dutch league before. Obviously, Ajax have got better players around him who will create more for him. So don't be surprised if he suddenly starts being an absolute baller there. West Ham never really saw the best Haller. He was very, very good at. I think he was at Utrecht and then he was at Frankfurt. So yeah, it's a shame, but yeah, move on. And now West Ham have got to replace him quickly.
I'll go through the sort of biggest rumours circulating at the moment. The first one is Pochettino has made Pogba his top transfer target at PSG.
Stupid.
I don't know whether, again, I still don't think Pogba's going to move in January. I think they'd have to really throw money at this if they want to tempt him away in January.
Especially as United are actually doing pretty well.
Yeah, especially as we're, you know, if we win at the weekend, we go top of the league.
And you got Chelsea next in the FA Cup, so
Liverpool.
So that's fun.
Got them twice in 1 month.
Yeah, I think Pogba's very much a case of, you know, when the team's winning and doing well, you know, I'm the best player in the world. This is amazing. I love it here. A few games where he doesn't play very well, he gets a bit of criticism and all of a sudden he wants to leave. So
yeah.
Exactly. And I don't know. I don't know whether PSG will want to front the sort of money that Man United will want for him, despite the fact he hasn't played well. I still think United are going to want as near as possible to that 90 odd million that they paid for him.
Yeah, well, I've seen rumours of Messi potentially going to join Neymar at PSG as well, so I can't imagine they can afford both.
Well, Messi could effectively go on a free, but from a wages point of view...
Well, they still have to pay him a massive old signing bonus as well, though.
True. But yeah, from a wages point of view, I mean, they're both going to be commanding, you know, 300,000-400,000 a week, if not more, so...
I think Messi's on 700 at the moment.
Good Lord.
It makes you feel sick, doesn't it, eh?
Anyway, next rumour is Chelsea looking to move ahead in the race for RB Leipzig's centre-back, Upamecano. We've been linked with him quite a lot as well.
Chelsea are in a reasonable spot right now, but I do think they could probably do with another centre-back. When I say they're in a reasonable spot, I mean from a squad point of view, not necessarily the performances, but I don't know. I mean, obviously they've still got Rudiger. They've got Zuma who's playing well. They've got Thiago Silva. They've got Tomori. Christensen, although I think he's very much sort of down the pecking order, but I don't know. I mean, if he comes into the side, I suppose Thiago is getting on, so he's not going to be around forever. So maybe it's a bit more of a.
He'll be 37, won't he, next season?
So maybe it's a replacement for him then. How old is this kid? Do we know?
Upamecano is like 22 to 24.
Okay, so 24. yeah, possibly a long-term replacement for Thiago Silva
then. Next, Rooney set to be named permanent manager of Derby County, apparently.
Well, I mean, this has been a rumor that's been going on for a little while. Him wanting to take the Derby job, but I have to say, I'm not sure whether or not the Derby County fans would be particularly happy about this. Bearing in mind they got beaten by Chorley at the weekend, non-league Chorley. So I don't know. I think it's going to happen. I think it will make sense. But the way things are at the moment for Derby, not just in the FA Cup, but also I think they're third bottom in the Championship right now. Lots of work to do. I'm not sure if that's a good start for Rooney's managerial career, trying to fight relegation.
No, I mean, although Frank did quite well, didn't he? Went straight from Derby to Chelsea,
which is true. Maybe he's a replacement for Solskjaer next.
Well, yeah. United reportedly set to go head-to-head with PSG for Brest midfielder Romain Fevre. Never heard of him, to be honest.
Never heard of him, no. Next.
So we can probably skip that one. West Ham winger Felipe Anderson attracting interest from AC Milan.
Yeah, so this is another interesting one. So he went out to Porto on loan. It doesn't sound like it's worked out at all. He's barely played. I think he's only had, a small handful of appearances, most of which have been from the bench. So I think West Ham are a bit annoyed that they've not played him that much. When I heard that he was looking to come back, I did think that part of me was thinking maybe David Moyes is going to give him another chance. Bearing in mind, we don't have a particularly big squad. We had a small squad after the summer transfer window, and we've just been lucky that we've not had too many injuries. So I thought maybe just bring him back just so we've got another option. But it sounds like that the idea is to bring him back and then move him on again. So whether it's because
if he's not getting into, the best Portuguese team, how is he going to get into AC Milan's team?
From West Ham's point of view, if they're trying to offload him permanently, then they won't care. I suspect this is a move because West Ham have not got a huge transfer budget, so I'm wondering whether this is just a move to attempt to ship players out, get them off the wage bill. Haller and Anderson will both be high earners at West Ham. So if we can get rid of all of those, get some money for them, then hopefully David Moyes can continue his raiding of Slavia Prague and just buy all their players, because that seems to be working out quite well at the moment with Souček and Soufal. So
Napoli have made Arsenal's Kieran Tierney one of their top targets. Which is quite an interesting one.
Yeah, there's a few European clubs now that seem to be liking the English talent. But Kieran Tierney is a brilliant player. I think he's a fantastic left back for Arsenal. So not surprising that other clubs are showing an interest.
And he's Scottish as well.
Well, I suppose that's a bad one on me, as I thought he was English. But nonetheless, I suppose that's even better for Scotland if he can go to a top club in Italy like Napoli. Arsenal, with the greatest respect, have not had a great season and don't expect them to be challenging for the league over here anytime soon. So if he goes to Napoli and gets in the Champions League at the very least, then I think that's a step up.
Yeah.
Arsenal fans won't like me for saying that, but.
No, I don't. He's signed, I think, not this season, but season before. But he was obviously injured, I think, for most of last season. So this is his first sort of full season. He's done really well so far.
Yeah, he has.
Finally, Spurs reportedly interested in Real Madrid defender Eder Militao.
Again, Spurs' defence is pretty reasonable. I don't know whether this is a player. I'll be honest, I don't know much about him. I don't know if he's a player that Mourinho has worked with in the past during his time at Real Madrid. If he's a youngster, probably not.
It's Brazilian centre-back.
Right. Aldevaro's not getting any younger. Eric Dyer obviously is a bit of a makeshift centre-back, although he's doing a good job. I can see them looking for another centre-back.
Yeah.
That wraps it up.
There we go. Right. Well then, since it's time to get into this then. Down the stack, man.
Chris, Dan did a little dance to it this time.
We'll put that on TikTok.
Right, so Vinicius is the first player to score an FA Cup hat-trick for a side managed by Mourinho since 2007. Can you tell, any ideas who the last player to do so was?
Oh, it must be a Chelsea player being that far back.
It is indeed.
So, right, okay, well, as usual, we will find out the answer to that later on. Let's talk some FA Cup then. So there was, realistically, I think there was only one giant killing, which is kind of, I think that's what everyone looks out for on FA Cup weekend, isn't it? They want to see which of the Premier League teams are going to get beaten. Obviously, Derby County, we mentioned, was one shocker. They're not Premier League side, obviously, but the big one was at the People's Pension Stadium, I believe it's called, Crawley Town. Crawley Town against Leeds. I'm not making that up. That is actually what it's called.
Nice.
The FA Cup third round never disappoints. It's a great weekend for the lower league teams, and I mean this was a pretty strong lineup from Leeds. This wasn't like they put out a massively weak side.
No, yeah, they did put. I mean, I didn't watch the game live, but watching back the highlights, I heard quite a lot of the regulars being called out. So
yeah, I mean, all goals came in the second half. I mean, where would you say? Just how big an upset is this? I mean, Crawley in League Two, they have struggled in recent years. They've had a lot of chopping and changing of managers as well, I believe. So where does this rank in cup upsets for you guys?
Well, I mean, quite high. The fact that they did put out quite a strong team proves that they were going for it. It's not as if they weren't fussed either way.
But Leeds are quite an all or nothing team, aren't they?
They are.
Well, in the Premier League recently, they've been very much either winning by like a few goals or losing by a
is this
considerable
more
amount
proof
of goals.
that they maybe need to have more than one trick up their sleeve?
Well, they need that. Well, if anything, it shows they need to be a bit more consistent, potentially. But yeah, everyone knows that they're very attacking.
It's quite funny though that the rhetoric about them, where they either win by several or lose by several, continues regardless of their opposition, even if they're two divisions below them. I mean, there was one very, very good goal scored by former Tottenham youth player Swarola, I think his name is. I think that's how you pronounce it. He skinned 4 players before smashing home in the bottom corner, but. Whilst it's a day to remember for him and the entire Crawley squad, including a certain Mark Wright, who came off the bench very late on for his debut at 33 years old. One player who will not want to remember this day, though, is the Leeds goalkeeper, Kika Casilla. Yeah, it would be safe to say he had a bit of a stinker.
It's crazy. He used to be Real Madrid's second goalkeeper.
Stop it, did he?
Yeah.
What happened to him?
So he was at Real Madrid a couple of years ago. So I think maybe up to about 3 years ago. He played 25 times for Real Madrid. He played 35 times last season for Leeds during their promotion campaign. And whilst he's yet to play the season for Leeds, I mean, you would expect him to do a lot better. A keeper of that caliber should be doing a lot better with those second.
Well, he's not going to play now,
goals.
is he? Tell him that.
Do you think Bielsa will sort of be upset by this, or do you think he won't care?
I'd like to think he would be upset. I think, you'd hope that every manager hates losing, especially getting thumped. I mean, it's not like they lost 1-0 and it was a lucky goal. They got thumped.
Yeah, and it was, Crawley deserved every ounce of that win as well. Leeds didn't deserve a single thing from that game. I wonder with Bielsa, because he strikes me as a sort of the guy that would berate anybody. I mean, if somebody played bad in a pre-season friendly, I suspect they'd fine them 2 weeks' wages or something. So, those are the sort of standards that I reckon that he demands from the team. So those players that have come in and, maybe on the fringes of the team, they've not done themselves too many favours here for pushing for Premier League starts, have they? No,
not at all.
So, I mean, one thing that did, changing the subject slightly, because I'm going to talk about COVID. Boo, COVID. I just want to have a whinge about the stuff that happened after the game. So for those of you that watched it live, maybe you'll remember this as well. So the game finished. They came back to the studio where I'm trying to remember who it was in the studio. Basically said, right, we're going to go down to pitch side now. We've got 3 Crawley players, the 3 goal scorers to talk to, but we have to do it one at a time because of social distancing. And Annabelle was sat next to me. She wasn't really watching the game, but I said, why are they so, they've just been playing football together. They've just literally been running around the pitch, holding each other at corners and like tackling each other and whatnot. And then after they finish their interviews, you then see a picture of them in the change rooms, all hugging and dancing and cheering and throwing water over each other. They're the same fucking team. Why can't they have the interviews together?
It was like when the subs are sat on the bench and they have masks on and then they take them off to go and play football. I don't really understand that either.
It's so dumb. It annoys me how dumb it is. So, I mean, if they were trying to, for the person doing the interview, they're saying social distancing from her, but that's fine. But you can all be 2 meters away from the person interviewing it, even if they're stood together. I just don't get it. It just wound me up. So I wanted to have a little rant. Anyway, let's move on. Let's talk about Aston Villa against Liverpool that sort of kicked off everything on Friday night. This was a strange game in the lead up to this because that C word came into it again. I mean, there was a massive outbreak in the Aston Villa team, which effectively put the entire first team and the coaching staff in isolation. So there was a real danger of this game not going ahead, but it did. It went ahead, much credit to Aston Villa, but they had to field a side made up of under 23 and under 18 players. So perhaps the 4-1 scoreline wasn't too surprising after all.
But how come this game got to go ahead, but then like the Fulham game and the City games got cancelled?
I can't answer that, I'm afraid.
Well, I just feel like it's a bit like I said this when before the game and when it was happening. Like, how is it fair that in the Premier League 2 games get cancelled because there's an outbreak, but in this, where obviously Villa, well, not obviously, that's I guess harsh on Villa, but quite considerably, you would predict that with not putting their first team out, Villa would get smashed against.
I think it's to do with the FA Cup rules. I think all games have to sort of be played within the same game week. I don't think you can have because the next round I think will start in the next couple of weeks or so. I don't think you can have like a second round game being played at the same time as like a third round game type thing.
No. I feel like if this was the other way around and it had been Liverpool in this situation, Klopp would have raised. It was, but.
No, was it last year before when Liverpool had to put out their youth team against Everton when they had the Club World Cup?
It was against Villa. It wasn't against Everton. It was against Villa.
Was it Villa? I thought it was Everton.
Yeah. So, I mean, the only thing that I would suggest as well as a potential reason, I mean, again, I don't know, is that with the Premier League, it's a league. There are points on offer. So if a team is fielding a side as weak as that, there are potential implications for positions at the end of the season, championships potentially for Liverpool. And if somebody looks back on the game and say, well, if that didn't happen, they may not got that point that won in the league. Of course, there's dead money involved because of where you finish in the league. You get a lot of money. So I'm wondering whether the FA Cup is a little bit more of because it's one game. It's a one game off. There's more of a, as we've seen with Crawley and beating Leeds, anything can happen in that one single game. So it's easier to kind of just write it off and say, yeah, shit happens. Let's put out a different team, move on. Whereas with the Premier League, there's like a lasting effect that potentially, affects the rest of the season for those 2 teams involved.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know. I mean, it is getting. We'll talk probably a little bit more about COVID after the break, but
can't wait.
The Spurs had their game called off against Fulham. This was it a couple of weeks ago over Christmas, I think it was. Yeah. Spurs were due to be playing Aston Villa this week. Villa's obviously that has actually been called off, and Spurs are now going to be playing Fulham instead and make up for that fixture that they couldn't fulfill a few weeks ago. So they've had to basically. I mean, it's getting to the stage where it is almost like Saturday League down, where like games are getting called off, and they're just going, "All right, shit, we'll throw that one in. Go on, play that one instead." I suppose it works out well. They're both in London, so from a travel point of view, it makes sense. But anyway, moving on. The goal for the Villa youth side, Louis Barry. How impressed were you with that finish for a player coming into the team at such a young age?
Not just the finish as well, the way he just shrugged off the centre back that was sort of all over him.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think who it was. Was it Williams? I think it was.
I think it was the youngster. Yeah.
I mean, whilst he is a youngster himself, he has had Premier League experience this year, and he has played quite well. I think he might have even had a Champions League game or 2. So it's not like he's a an under 18 that's just come into the team for his first appearance in the FA Cup. So, but it's just such a magical thing because, that group of players probably a week ago, they're expecting to sit at home, watch that game, with their families or whatever. And then all of a sudden they get a phone call to say, right, the first team's all in isolation. You boys are playing against Liverpool. And they're kind of thrust into this game. And then you score a goal like that. I mean, that's the stuff of dreams, that, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you could see it on his face, the way he celebrated and that. So,
did you see
especially against the team Liverpool playing? They were playing a strong team as well.
Yeah, well, we'll get to that in a minute as well. I mean, one of the great moments after that game as well with Louis Barry, I don't know if you saw this, he swapped shirts with Fabinho. Did you see this?
I didn't see it, but Fran did. Oh, yes. You told me about it.
I told you about it.
Yeah. So for those that didn't see it, so he as most players tend to do, especially the younger players, they look up to these big name stars in the opposition team, and he swapped shirts with Fabinho at the end of the game. And you see he's all chuffed with himself. He's obviously, despite the fact they've lost 4-1, they've probably had an amazing time playing against these Liverpool players. And then one of the coaching staff comes along, and I think in fairly colourful language, sort of says to him, mate, this is your first goal for Aston Villa. This is your debut. Do you not want to keep that shirt? You might want to look back on that and frame it and something. And you can just sort of see him go, oh yeah, that's a good idea, that. So he chases Fabinho down the tunnel to go and get his shirt back. And Fabinho obviously gives it back to him and then actually says that you can keep his shirt as well. So yeah, credit to Fabinho for that. So a night to remember for him. But let's talk Liverpool. Let's talk about Jurgen Klopp, because he's often talked about fixture congestion and he's bemoaned the lack of time off and his injury list. So picking a starting lineup which includes Wijnaldum, Henderson, Mane, Salah, Fabinho against a bunch of kids from Aston Villa, that's some fantastic banter on his part, isn't it?
Yeah, he's done it a couple of times now, moaned about the fixture congestion, and then had games where he can pick a slightly weaker team and he still picks his full strength team. So.
I mean, were you surprised by this? I mean, I guess you can look at this from two sides. You could say that one side of the argument is that he's contradicting himself against what he said and his criticisms of the congestion and whatnot. And the other one is, well, for these kids that are playing for Aston Villa, this is a huge moment for them. And he's, playing against these big name stars is even better, people like Salah and Mane. So do we condemn him, or do we say fair play for respecting the FA Cup and playing a good side?
I think in previous seasons he's been sort of criticised for not taking the FA Cup and the League Cup seriously. So it looks like he has taken the FA Cup a bit more seriously this season, which is a good thing. I think the FA Cup should be taken seriously and should be something that teams try to win.
Yeah. And I mean, in fairness, because of, I suppose, one offset to this argument is that the FA Cup were allowing 5 substitutions in this game. So he was able to make more changes and rotate some of his players. So actually, he probably found a happy medium in this case. So, but anyway, good result for Liverpool. They move on. They face Manchester United in the next round. Dan, how are you feeling about that one?
Depends which Liverpool we play and which United team goes out, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, so the draw's been done. I haven't looked at the draw in full, but I know that obviously United against Liverpool is the headline. And I know that should West Ham beat Stockport tonight, they're playing at the moment. If West Ham beat them and then beat Doncaster in the next round, we will play the winner of Manchester United against Liverpool in the 5th round, I believe. So, yeah. Depending on how things are, maybe we could do like a little watch party. Maybe I can find a way if we can watch it together over like Zoom or something. So, right, okay. We are now going to head for a break. When we come back, we'll talk some stuff from the listeners, and we'll talk about the oldest professional footballer in the world. See you in a minute. Hey everybody, and welcome back to the show. So before we get cracking with some more FA Cup chat, does the name Kazuyoshi Miura mean anything to you guys?
It does to me. It wouldn't mean anything to Fran.
Absolutely not. No.
So he is the world's oldest professional footballer. And he has just signed a 1-year extension with J-League club Yokohama FC, which will take him beyond his 54th birthday.
Yeah.
I mean,
ridiculous.
This is 36th year in professional football.
What on earth?
It's ridiculous. His career began in 1986. That's 3 years before I was born. So just to sort of roll off some of his achievements. So he is quite the star in Japan. So he's got 242 career goals. He does play as a striker primarily. He played against Neville and Shearer at Wembley, and I think in some kind of friendly / charity game. He has been compared to Diego Maradona in terms of his status within his own country. He won the 1992 Asia Cup, and he was the first ever recipient of the Asian Footballer of the Year, or the first player from Japan to win that award in 1992. And he played in the Futsal World Cup at the age of 45. Now, I would say his best years, I think it's fair to say, are probably behind him now. He hasn't scored since 2017, but the goal that he did score in that game, I'm not even going to attempt the name of the team or the person that is. I mean, that is just fucking ridiculous. Thespakasatu Gunma. That's actually, I'm happy with that. It made him the oldest goal scorer in the history of Japanese football at 50 years and 14 days old, and that is a Guinness World Record. Do we think that anyone's ever going to break that?
I can't. Not anytime soon, I don't think. Maybe I'm just trying to James Milner.
I was going to say, I was just trying to think of old footballers in the Premier League. James Milner, he could keep going. Who else is old in the Premier League that might keep going forever?
He's still in about?
No, he's retired now, unfortunately. Maybe we need to get maybe Petr Cech. Maybe Chelsea keep signing him. And then when they get a penalty, just throw him on and see if he'll take the penalty and score. So, but no, that is extraordinary. I actually did a little bit of Googling and a bit of YouTubing just to sort of see if I could see this guy in action. And he looks in incredible shape. He really does. And he just sort of runs on and the camera pans to him. And it literally, it suddenly your head transforms into like, is this a friendly? Is this like a lads v dads match or something? Because the guy's running on and he's got like so many wrinkles. He's got grey hair. Or like he's going grey. It's brilliant. I love it. And that is professional football in Japan, just so we're clear.
I imagine it's probably a little bit of a publicity stunt, keep giving him a contract.
Yeah, I should imagine it is. I wonder like whether he's able to train like every day, because by that age, surely your legs and fatigue are kicking in. You can't train at the same level, surely, as the rest of the team.
I wouldn't have thought so.
So, but anyway, he actually played a game. One of the games I watched on YouTube 2 months ago was against the team that Andre Iniesta plays for. So, I don't know who's more proud, actually, Iniesta playing against the world's oldest man or that guy playing against Iniesta. But anyway, let's move on then. We're going to talk about another FA Cup game before we talk about a few other bits and pieces. Let's talk Marine against Spurs. So,
missed a bit there, Chris.
Have I? Oh, yes, I have. I am quite correct. Sorry, I do apologise. Fran, would you like to read out what the listeners have been talking about?
So Joe Morton is back in the room, everyone. It's very exciting.
Chelsea won. Joe's back.
Yeah.
So he says, get Billy Gilmore in the team every week. He is the Scottish Iniesta. Mm-hmm. Let's all laugh at Leeds. Well, that's slightly harsh. And of course, and what a twat that Tottenham striker is, celebrating like Mbappe after scoring from 2 yards out against a team of plumbers. Thank you for that input. On a slightly more rounded note, Joe goes on to say, also, do you guys think with the amount of players getting COVID, it might be time to postpone the season for a while? I know it's not what anyone wants, but stats don't lie. It's not exactly safe, which, may I add, is pretty much what I said last week or the week before. What are your thoughts? Because I know did you just
want to say, I told you so? Is that what you're looking for here?
Yeah, I mean, rarely do I agree with Joe Morton on anything he says in the comments, but Joe, 100%, I'm with you.
I mean, I'm kind of conflicted on this because Premier League clubs should and are able to maintain bubbles. They should be able to keep themselves separate from things. They did it the first time round, and they should be able to do it now. That being said,
they didn't do it the first time round, did they? Because it all got called off for a while. So they did it when it was getting better.
I think that's
but now it's worse.
Testing at the time.
Yeah, and also we didn't have any of the research or any of the data. I guess it was done because they had no idea the severity of this virus, so they just did it as a precaution.
But if they're bubbling, then why are they still all getting wiped out by this new?
Some of them are still being idiots.
Well, exactly.
I mean, that's the problem.
What gives them the right to they essentially with that the right should be taken away from them? Like they're the ones breaking it, but they still get to see all their friends and they still get to play football and all these things. Why is it fair for them when they're breaking it?
I do agree with that. It is a kick of the teeth to people that aren't being able to see people and aren't being able to do anything. And then you've got these footballers that are going to parties and stuff like that, and then they'll come out and be like, "Oh, I've realised what a mistake it was. I apologise." You don't apologise just because you got caught.
Exactly. You're saying sorry because you got caught for no other reason. I wonder. Yeah, I think one of the things is that with this new strain of coronavirus we've got, obviously it is massively more contagious than the previous one. So there is a much bigger risk involved. But the problem is that as silly as it sounds, with all the fixtures that we've got and with the Euros this year, which I think the Euros they've not been talked about much, but I would suspect that they're in danger at the moment. I just don't see how they're going to get these fixtures in without going back to what they did at the end of last season, which is basically playing 2 games a week for the rest of the season. And if they do that, I mean, the burnout for the Euros is going to be incredible. So, yeah, I don't know what to do for the best. It's football at the moment is pretty much, for a lot of people, it's the only thing they can look forward to and enjoy during this lockdown. So if they take that away, there is going to be an impact on people's mental health and whatnot. So I appreciate that, but at the same time, footballers are human. They do need a level of protection themselves. So yeah, I'm really not sure what to do for the best in this. I wouldn't disagree with them cancelling it, and I wouldn't disagree with them carrying it on either.
Yeah.
Yeah,
what do you guys think?
I mean, for selfish reasons, I'd like it to carry on because it is like one of the only things I look forward to at the moment. There's literally nothing else to do. But if COVID cases do continue to rise, and if footballers, not all footballers, but if certain individuals continue to be idiots, then I wouldn't disagree with the government sort of closing it all down for a week. Well, not a week, sorry, for a while.
And with the contagiousness of the virus, it would only take one of the team to be an idiot, and then they come into work the next day, and all of a sudden, the entire team has got it. So it's a tricky one. And for the sake of our podcast, I suppose we should probably hope it carries on.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we're going to struggle for things to talk about.
Japanese league a bit more often.
Yeah, well, maybe we get that old guy and maybe make a documentary about him or something. So, right, okay. Let's get back on to Mourinho against Spurs then. So the amazing cup run that they've had came to an end on Sunday afternoon. It was an amazing story for them, but ultimately I think this was just one step too far for the non-league side. And Spurs did, in fairness to them, it's very, it's a no-win situation for Spurs, isn't it? Because if they lose, everyone laughs at them. If they win, everyone goes, well, they're non-league. Of course you're going to win. So, but, they did a very professional job in the end.
Yeah, they did. At the end of the day, it's not just any Premier League team either. It's a Mourinho team. So, I mean, it would have gone down in history, not just for beating Spurs, but for Mourinho losing to a Marine team. So,
I mean, there was 160 places between them in the football pyramid, and they did hit the bar at 0-0 with a long-range effort from Neil Kegney, I think is how you pronounce it. I mean, that would have been some moment if that had gone. Part of me really wanted Mourinho to score a goal just so they had something to take away from that. Even if they got beat 6-1, 7-1, whatever. If they'd got that one goal, that would have been something to really sort of remember the day by.
Yeah, because I've seen it before when non-league teams play sort of the bigger teams, and they could be getting smashed 6-0, but as soon as they score that one to make it 6-1, they all celebrate as if they've just scored the winner.
which is what the FA Cup's all about. So, I mean, there's only 6 games for Premier League sides coming into the third round in order to get to the final. In fact, in order to win the competition, Marine played 7 FA Cup games just to get to this third round, including a 1-0 win in the second round against Havant and Waterlooville, who are a team fairly local to us. Carlos Vinicius, shall we say? Shall we say it was an aggressive hat trick that put them in quite a commanding position at first half? What did you make of the smashing the ball home from on the line?
Joe mentioned it in his comment. I mean, one, like smashing the ball in from a yard out. Two, celebrating with the Mbappe celebration is a bit much. And then two, his second goal, he smashed it in from the rebound as well. It's just, I don't know if he was trying to prove a point or make a point, but I think, you have to remember it is a non-league team you're playing. It's not like you're playing Arsenal or Manchester United or something like that.
Yeah, it was a very, very odd reaction to him. When I watched it live, I was looking at it and I was like, there's got to be something else going on here, because surely you wouldn't celebrate quite so aggressively and ferociously in any other circuit. I mean, to be honest, if you did that in a Premier League game, you'd be raising eyebrows, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
So, but anyway, it was from carrying on the Spurs here. It was a lovely moment also for Alfie Devine, who at just the tender age of 16 years old and 162 days, he scored his first goal for Spurs, and it was a cracking goal as well.
Yeah,
really good goal. Really tight angle to get it in the front post.
Yeah,
his little face afterwards as well. Oh.
I mean, he's the youngest FA Cup scorer in a decade since George Williams for MK Dons in 2011, who was 16 years and 66 days old. So yeah, a good performance there. What do we make of Dele Alli's performance? He's been left out in the cold most of the season. He's coming for a lot of flack, in particular from his manager. What did you make of his performance?
Well,
he did really good.
He had a hand in the second goal, didn't he? Dinked it into, I think it was Mora who shot and then parried to Vinicius.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if Ali will be there a lot longer. To be honest, I think it's just one of those: get him in the game, keep him happy until he leaves.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I mean, Fran, you might be able to answer this, but there was this real sort of swagger about his performance. And I wouldn't say like he was strolling around, not looking interested, but there were times where he just sort of like got the ball and just seemed to be sort of floating around, almost sort of Berbatov-esque, where, he was almost acting as if that football was so easy to him that he didn't really need to try that hard. And then all of a sudden he burst into life when he sort of drove forward. But yeah, I don't know. It just seemed a bit... I don't know if arrogant's the right word. I don't know.
I mean, he is quite arrogant, though, isn't he? In general, I would say as a player, especially I think more so recently. But maybe he's just a bit bitter.
Yeah, possibly. So I mean, there was obviously a lot to pick out from this game in terms to the brilliant moments that really reflects what the FA Cup is all about. But the one thing that really resonated with me is how Tottenham as a club, its fans around the country all clubbed together to help offset the financial hit that they took by not having the fans there. And also, I don't know whether they lose some element of the TV money as well because of that. I don't know really how that works. But it's kind of important to note that when all this talk about the rescue package for the Football League was going on, and about how all these clubs were going to go out of business, there was never any support for non-league, which I think is tier 3 and tier 4 of the football pyramid. So this cup run has been huge for them, and not having any fans there, they managed to sell 30,000 virtual match tickets, of which Mourinho actually bought one of them. Which supplemented the TV fee and the prize money they got. And I think that, I don't know, I just feel like this is the sort of thing the FA Cup is all about. I mean, a lot of people say that the FA Cup's kind of lost its magic, but when you see stuff like this, I think it's very much alive.
I think Jamie Carragher sponsored them as well when they lost their sponsorship.
That's right, he did, yes. Didn't he give them something like 20 grand or something?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think all of this sort of stuff is just amazing. I mean, the financial windfall. I mean, their manager came out and thanked the Spurs fans after the game. The thousands of fans that bought tickets. He basically said that effectively this could very well save the club. So I mean, and they don't actually know when their next game is going to be as well, because they're at their level of football, because they're not classed as elite. They literally don't know when their next game is going to be. They don't know if their season is now finished. So it's quite amazing that even at full time, when when they wanted to swap shirts, they can't do that. But but Spurs sent them all signed shirts for their entire squads. So yeah, I just think this is just amazing.
Yeah, love that.
So let's. I just want to talk about some of the lighter stuff that happened in the FA Cup. So we've had some great moments the weekend and a couple of surprises. So I just want to talk through a few of the bits that that caught my eye. I want to talk about Michael Owen, if I may. Now he's a man. He is just a walking meme, isn't he? Let's be honest. Some of the stuff that he comes out with on commentary is well documented, but I think it's high time we reminded ourselves of some of his gems. So I'll clear my throat for this one. Footballers these days often have to use their feet. What a shot. That's completely unstoppable, but the goalkeeper's got to do better there for me. He's elbowed him in the head, but there's nothing in it for me. Which team scores most goals usually wins. That's a fantastic penalty, but he'll be gutted it went wide. If there's a bit of rain about, it makes the surface wet. And my personal favourite, when they don't score, they hardly ever win. So I think if you've never heard Michael Owen, that encompasses the level of punditry that we're talking about when we're talking about Michael Owen. But he actually came out with a good one. Did you guys hear the line that he came out with this weekend?
Yeah, I saw it. Well, I saw it like come up, and I thought it was just people taking the piss out of him, saying that that's the kind of thing that he would say. And then I realised he did actually say
it. So he said that if Marine bring on a sub, does that make him a submarine? And I was like, yes, yes, Michael, that's gold from you. So yeah, I mean, one good comment doesn't make up for the dozens of shit things that he said, but it's a step in the right direction, Michael. We appreciate it.
He must have planned that.
Sure he has. He was waiting for the right chance to say that, and then he just came out with it. So other things that happen in the FA Cup, Kepa keeping a clean sheet for Chelsea is a story in itself, even if they were only playing Morecambe. But I got sent I got sent a WhatsApp from a friend. It's actually the same friend who actually commented on my status when I shared the stuff about, listeners can get in touch. And he said about, we should talk about Chelsea battering an informed Morecambe. He said, apparently the players on the bench for Morecambe were shouting shoot whenever their players got near the halfway line just because they knew Kepa was in goal. I love that banter. That's amazing. In other news, Sam Allardyce doing a fantastic job of allowing West Brom to concentrate in the Premier League by allowing them to be knocked out on penalties to League One Blackpool. Sheffield United, they got a win.
Yeah.
3-2 against Bristol Rovers. Absolutely buzzing. Can they do it against Newcastle tomorrow night? When's their first win coming, guys?
Well, that's it now for another 6 months.
Do you think can you honestly see a situation where they don't win a game in an entire season? Do you think that's a realistic possibility?
I think they'll win one. I mean, I think if he manages to go an entire season without winning a game and he's still the manager, he deserves Manager of the Year.
Oh dear. But no, I want them to win so bad. Hopefully they can build on that in some way, shape or form, even if it was a very close fought win. And then finally, the one story of the weekend, which has gathered a lot of traction on social media, is the Marine supporter who leant out of his window. And because of how close the pitch is, because it's non-league, obviously it's quite enclosed. It's effectively in the middle of a housing estate. He leant out of his window and took a picture of Gareth Bale, who effectively was probably 15 or 20 yards away from him. The other side of a fence. And then so he tweeted that out, and then apparently Gareth Bale was actually responding with a waving emoji, which I thought was quite cool. So cute. A good weekend of FA Cup action. We look forward to that. So hopefully the fourth round will provide something. Just a quick run through of the draw itself, and obviously we've spoken about the big one, which is United against Liverpool, but just a couple of others to go through, which might whet the appetite a little bit. There's an all Premier League tie, Fulham against Burnley. I say whet the appetite, that probably doesn't get anyone excited.
Well, yeah.
Everton against Sheffield Wednesday, Brentford against Leicester. Be honest, the draw has been kind to most of the Premier League teams. I mean, Spurs are away at Wickham. Could be, depending on the Southampton-Shrewsbury results, it could be Southampton versus Arsenal, another all-Premier League time, and Man City getting a away tie at Cheltenham.
I hope it's Southampton-Arsenal. That'd be a good game.
That could be a good game.
3 o'clock kickoffs.
They probably just haven't organised it.
Oh, right, okay.
They usually put 3 as a default.
Right.
Yeah.
It might be.
And then when we get closer to the time, they'll sort out, because obviously the TV companies will have to bid on what games they want to show. So, and then they'll start moving the times around.
I hope it's not a BT Sport.
So, right, let's move on then. So we're going to finish off the show. We're not doing Team of the Week this week. We'll do that when we get back to the Premier League stuff, and obviously our predictions have also stopped. So this week we finish off the show with our usual 2 features. The first one being this. Down the stat, man. I can actually hear Fran laughing as that's going on.
That was Dan, actually.
Oh, was it?
She was playing the bongos.
I was playing the drums in the background.
Oh, right. Are we looking for like Dan the Statman V2? Do we need to up our game? Get some instruments involved.
Yeah. Get Seb on the drums.
Oh dear.
Right. So Vinicius is the first player to score an FA Cup hat-trick for a side managed by Mourinho since 2007. Can you tell me which player was the last to do so? 2007
is a long time ago. Just want to put that out there. It's 14 years ago.
But it's 100% a player that you will know.
Even I know this player.
So I'm going to go with Didier Drogba.
Is incorrect. I can tell you
coming,
he is a manager.
Lampard.
Which might narrow it down. Yeah.
Well done.
Excellent. Right then. Well, last week I managed to stave off defeat and put it on for another week. So can I do it again this week? Fran, you ready? You buzzing?
I'm ready. Welcome back to Football with Fran. Obviously, this week it's FA Cup themed. So I've just got 5 questions for you. So
not just one this week.
Yeah. No, to clarify, Daniel, 5. So yeah, I guess Dan, if you type your answer, Chris says his answer, and then you say
Chris
yours.
Chris can type his into Google.
I don't know if he'd be on the result he's on if he was typing it in Google.
Yeah, I'm very bad at Googling if I'm losing 9-6.
Okay, and obviously I've got a tiebreaker in case you know. So, which player has won the FA Cup the most times? I know this player, if that's any help.
I don't have a clue, to be honest. Yeah.
Okay. Chris, shout whenever you're ready.
Okay. Oh my God, I've absolutely no idea. Absolutely no idea.
Just any name.
Can you tell us, is it new player or old player?
Old player.
Can we have a clue? Old player, okay.
Oldish.
Oldish?
Well, like old, not recent. Not in his prime recently.
Has a clue ever been given and made people more confused than they were before the clue?
It's made me question my answer more than.
All right, well, I don't have a clue, so
not in his prime recently.
I'll stick with it.
No, I'm gonna say Ryan Giggs.
I've gone for Petr Cech.
Okay, you're both incorrect.
Yeah, I assumed I would be.
Ashley Cole.
Oh, okay. I never would have guessed him.
See, they're not in his prime recently.
Yeah, well.
That's where I was headed with that.
Yeah.
Which team did Manchester City beat in the 2019 final?
Okay, I think I know that one. And because of that, I'm going to wait for Dan to write his answer down so he can't steal it.
Yeah, he doesn't know.
I'm trying to think. That's 2 years ago.
He's struggling.
I can barely remember yesterday.
I know. Your memory is not great.
Who did City beat? Oh no, I do know it. Yeah, I've got it.
Chris?
Watford.
Yeah, they smashed Watford 7-0.
Funnily enough, next question. What was the score?
Oh. Was that right?
You can guess what you want.
Well, I reckon it's 3 now.
Trying the old reverse psychology there, Dan.
On the girl that's got the answers.
Yeah, reverse psychology doesn't really work when you're not in the same room with that person. I'm going to say, I think it was 7-0, to be fair.
Dan?
Yeah, I thought it was 7-0.
No, it was 6-0.
Ah.
God,
it's a shame I didn't go for 6.
Right, you're on 1 point each so far, so come on. Right, name the only team to win the cup and then get relegated in the same season.
Yeah, I think I know that.
Do I know that?
By the looks of you chewing your phone, I don't think you do.
I think I know that.
Chewing his phone?
He's just like resting in his mouth.
Oh, lockdown's really getting to you, isn't it, Dan?
I think I know it.
Right, have you typed something?
Yeah, I'm hoping it's this.
Okay, Chris?
I think it's Wigan.
Dan?
I've put Wigan.
Yeah, smashed it. Well done.
Because I think I remember them playing Europa League football while they're in the Championship.
It was in 2013.
Maybe City. Or was that another question?
No, that's not another question. If you want to keep preempting the quiz, feel free.
Well, people at home should know that because that was the question we used for this year's giveaway.
Yeah,
it was.
In 2012, who became the first player to score in 4 separate FA Cup finals?
2012.
And as of 2020, they're still the only person to have done this.
I think I don't know who it is. I thought I did.
I thought you were trying to reverse psychology, Chris.
Part of me thinks I do know, but now I'm thinking, no, I probably don't. I'm going to stick with it.
All right. Chris?
I'm struggling, not going to lie.
2012.
2012 is quite a long time ago, isn't it?
Yeah.
9 years ago. Where were
I'm glad we can all
years?
do maths here.
I don't think that's right.
To score in 4 separate FA Cup finals.
Wow,
the thing is that the player I'm thinking about, you have to think backwards because if they scored that 4th goal in 2012, unless they got to the FA Cup final and scored every year previous to that, then it might be that you've got to go back 10 years in their own career before they've got to their 4th cup final.
Yeah.
Have they?
Oh, don't ask me.
Yeah, this didn't work out well last time, Dan. Don't do it to yourself.
So I think my player's too recent. I don't think that's right.
Right. Okay. 5 seconds.
I've got a name, but I don't know if it's right.
No, well, I'll stick with it, but I think
right. Go on then, Chris.
Paused it.
I'm going to go with Wayne Rooney.
Right. Dan?
Yeah, I've stupidly gone a bit. I've gone for Olivier Giroud for some reason.
Didier Drogba.
I
was thinking Giroud because he was at Arsenal, and Arsenal gets
I've half a point because I got the right team. I know I didn't. No. I said Rooney, didn't I? Dickhead.
Remember Rooney's career at Chelsea?
Right. Who is the most successful manager in the history of the competition?
Okay, that I do know. I'm pretty sure I know anyway.
Yeah.
I hope I know it. I think, do I know it? I don't know. I'm just going to guess.
These internal battles that your head's having, Dan, are beautiful to watch.
Well, it's because Dan knows what's riding on this game.
Worst thing is, straight away I'm like, yes, I know it. And then 2 seconds later, like the little devil sat on my soldiers like, you sure?
Your soldiers? Right, most successful manager in the history of the competition. Chris?
I am going with Arsene Wenger.
I thought I was going to go with Arsene Wenger.
Right, Chris. Dan?
Ferguson. Yeah, Chris.
Chris, yeah. You've
Get
won.
in. Wins it at the death. He's on the comeback trail.
So annoying. I was going to put
9-7. I'm surprised you put Alex Ferguson.
Oh, no.
Do you know what? He deserves another one of these.
Oh. Yes, Chris. Well done.
Flexing. Absolutely flexing. Is that the first time I've ever won 2 in a row as well?
Yeah,
probably.
9-7. I can feel the literal virtual heebie-jeebies creeping into Dan because he thinks I'm coming back.
Smashed it.
There we go. Yeah, you keep telling yourself that you're just letting me have it for keeping it interesting. That's fine. Right. Well, thank you very much, everyone, for listening. Thank you guys for joining us once again. Hopefully, we'll be able to see each other again sometime this year.
I hope so.
But yeah, I think we've done quite well making this work on Zoom so far. I mean, I think I haven't done the numbers, but I'm pretty sure we've done more virtual podcasts than we have face to face. So yeah, thanks to everyone sticking with us. Please do share us around, give us a 5-star review on iTunes, all that jazz. Get involved with the show on social media, and we will see you all next week. Thank you very much. Bye.
Bye.